All right, welcome to The Explainer. This is where we break down big, sometimes complicated ideas. And today we're diving into something that's both super frustrating and honestly kind of fascinating: human stupidity.
So let's just start with a feeling I think we've all had, right? That that frustrating, just baffling sense that you're surrounded by irrationality. You see someone do something that makes zero sense, and you're just left there thinking, wait, what were they even thinking?
Well, it turns out you are not alone in feeling this way. This isn't just some modern internet age frustration. Thinkers have been trying to build a real framework to understand this for decades. And today we're going to look at two of the most compelling theories out there. One is a pretty serious diagnosis, and the other, well, it's more of a biting satire. Let's kick things off with the diagnosis. Okay, so our journey starts way back in the 1940s with a surprisingly serious study from Greece. We're talking long before this was just a topic for memes online.
So this guy right here, that's Evangelos Lembasis, a Greek sociologist. And that work on the right is where he argued that stupidity isn't just, a personal failing. He saw it as a powerful structural force in society. And let me be clear, he wasn't trying to be funny at all. He was genuinely trying to sound an alarm.
So for Lembasis, the fool, or vlakes in the original Greek, wasn't just some person making a bad choice. No, he saw them as a kind of social parasite, a group that actually works against a functioning society. And this is the crucial part. He believed they organize. They form these cliques to grab influence and power that they could never get on their own. Yeah, he even kicked off his essay with his really grim quote from Goethe. I mean, that sets the tone, right? For him, this wasn't some abstract philosophical idea. It was a real, genuine societal illness that he thought could totally undermine progress and just pull society apart. Okay, so let's jump forward a few decades to our next thinker. He takes a totally different approach, almost a mathematical one, to the very same problem. And honestly, this is where things get really interesting and maybe a little too relatable. So, this is the Italian economic historian Carlo Cipolla, and he came up with these satirical basic laws of human stupidity. His first law is just unforgettable. It basically says, no matter how many stupid people you think are out there, you're always, inevitably, underestimating. So why do we always get it wrong? Well, Cipolla said it's because our assumptions just get shattered over and over. People we thought were totally rational and smart suddenly do something completely baffling. And this stuff always seems to pop up at the absolute worst times, in the most unlikely places, just to mess with our plans and our sanity. All right, now we get to Cipolla's second law, and this one is even more provocative. It says that the probability of a person being stupid has nothing to do with any other characteristic of that person. Basically, stupidity is an equal opportunity affliction. What he's claiming is that stupidity is a trait determined by nature, not nurture. It's got nothing to do with your education, your job, where you grew up, none of it. In his view, it's just this constant factor, and it's spread completely randomly through the whole human population, kind of like having a certain blood type or red hair. And this chart, it illustrates his point perfectly. Cipolla claimed that actual studies done at universities found the exact same percentage of stupid people in every single group. It didn't matter if you were looking at professors, administrators, students, or the blue-collar staff. That proportion, he argued, is a universal constant. So there you have it, two really different frameworks, right? On one hand, you've got this dark sociological warning, and on the other, a sharp, almost scientific satire. Let's put them side by side and see how they really compare. So with Lembasis, we get this really serious social diagnosis. He sees stupidity as this parasitic force that organizes itself into cliques, and they're driven by what he called resentment. It's this kind of bitter, resentful hostility towards a system they feel is unfair. But then you have Cipolla, who gives us this sweeping statistical satire. He just treats stupidity like a predictable constant of nature. Yeah, people act as individuals, but you can actually measure their impact across the whole population. But here's the thing. Even with their totally different approaches, they both land on the same, pretty unsettling conclusion. This irrational force is real, it's powerful, and it operates completely independently of all our best intentions and our most rational plans. Okay, so after that pretty cynical tour of human nature, you might be wondering, what are we supposed to do with all this? Like, what's the actual takeaway here?
Look, these theories aren't just an excuse to get cynical or to start calling people names. That's not the point. Think of them as They're a reminder to just acknowledge that irrationality is a variable you have to account for. So the real-world application here is to build more robust, more resilient systems that can actually take a hit from unpredictable human behavior and not fall apart.
And that really brings us to the key point. We need to shift our focus. Instead of getting bogged down and frustrated with individuals, we can try to understand the bigger dynamic that's at play here. It's all about thinking at a system level, not getting into personal insults.
And that leaves us with one last, kind of provocative thought to chew on. If there's even a little bit of truth in these theories, if this irrational force really is a constant in human life, then how do we best design our world? How do we design our governments, our companies, our communities, to protect all our collective progress from it?